So one thing about making plastic baits, injecting, pouring plastic baits, is you have a lot of leftovers, a lot of pucks of different colors. So I've got a bunch of brown and brownish green ones here. I'm going to make something out of all these, blend them all up. Be interested to see what comes out of them. Maybe I'll be interested in some of those. I'm going to pour some worms and crawdads with those. Just something to talk about. It's what we do in the bait lab. I'm in my bait lab, the bait lab, laboratory of my experience in bass fishing, trying to come to fruition, making baits. That was a bunch of hooey. Where'd that come from? When you're sitting here, like it's like fishing, you get contemplative. I'm having a weird day. I did talk about why my day's weird in another video. I'll post before or after this one. I'm a little confused right now, but what I'm doing in life. Uh, the things that come to mind when I'm sitting here working or fishing or driving down the road. And I've been making notes of things I want to do videos on, which I've never done before. But this one just come to mind. And so I built a bait a while ago. I built a spinnerbait. I built baits. I got stuff here to do that. I was looking for some blades for another order. A guy had just got them in. So this bait, it's a 1/4 ounce, not a big spinnerbait. It's a 1/4 ounce spinnerbait with I believe that's a number 2 Colorado and a number 4 willow leaf. Of course, on a ball bearing swivel. Solid white, nothing fancy. That is the bait that I fell in love with when I first started bass fishing. I started throwing that bait about 78, 79. I don't know why. My first spinnerbait ever was from Bass Pro Shops. I believe it had a vinyl skirt. It had no ball bearing swivel. We didn't know about ball bearing swivels hardly then. And it was a funky black and yellow. I don't remember what the blades were. I couldn't believe a bass would bite something that looks like that. And one year in March, the thaw had come, and I had a little lake by our church that I could fish, which that's a whole nother bunch of stories. And I remember going down there, and I threw that thing, caught a bass right off the bat, caught like 20 bass that day, throwing that spinnerbait. Fell in love with spinnerbaits. I don't remember where the white willow is, what we call it, white willow leaf. That's what we always called it. I don't know where it came about. I don't remember what made me go to that bait. But I was fishing a little 115-acre lake, 79, 80 in that time frame, and I just remember how good this bait went through the grass. It was emergent grass. I don't even know what kind, LOD or something. And it went through the grass better than Colorado. I didn't have a tackle to throw big spinnerbaits. We're talking Zebco 33. Eventually, a bass fiberglass 5.5 foot pistol grip. Eventually, I was throwing junk. Well, at the time, maybe solid fiberglass rods. That's kind of junk. And a big spinnerbait didn't really appeal to me till I started tournament fishing. So I just wish I could remember where I got my first one of these, because I had to buy it. I didn't build it. I started building them about 82 or so. So I had a couple years there with this white willow leaf. What do you catch them on? White willow leaf. That's kind of what we said back then. I wasn't the only one doing it. A bunch of my buddies and stuff. But that was the spinnerbait. And it's so unfancy. Solid white skirt. Now, the skirt I was throwing back then was the old-fashioned live rubber, or not live rubber, like the hula popper skirt, which I still have. They're still good skirts. I remember using the rubber skirt was so much better than the vinyl skirt. It pulsated, even more so than these. There's a whole other story there I probably should not tell. I don't know how many bass I caught on this thing over a period of 3 years or so. Loads. Between this and a Johnson silver minnow in the spring, this weedless spoon, that was my 2 main baits until I started flipping and until the jig and frog come along. I love a plastic worm, especially in the spring and fall. White willow leaf, 1/4 ounce with that number 4 and I think a number 2 blade. That was a cat's meow for me with that Johnson silver minnow. Oh, the stories I could tell. I probably will. It's a problem. So I started tournament bass fishing with a club in '81. I actually started a year later than I could have. I was 17 for a reason, but it's another story for another day. And I struggled. I mean, I won money the second tournament I ever fished, but it was a measure thing. Anything over 13 inches, you got like a point. You got a point for every quarter inch, whatever. It was fun. We ought to do that nowadays. But my first keeper bass came that spring in a tournament at Palm de Terre Lake, and it came on that bait right there. And I remember I throwing a crankbait a bunch that day. I remember a crankbait. It seemed like I maybe threw a jig. I don't remember. We had no fish. It got late in the day and the wind's blowing. We were on a bluff bank down by the dam, and the wind blowing pretty hard. And I tied one of these on. It took about 3 casts. I caught almost a 3-pound bass. Finished second. Awesome. Fishing was tough, by the way. I tell you, that was a good bass in Palmy in those days. Like 214 on a white willow leaf. Somehow, though, I got away from that bait. I don't know. I've almost always had one in a box somewhere. Actually, my tackle box right now, I built this one because my box is in here. I was thinking about it. I've got about 3 or 4 of them, but I got away from that bait. I actually went to one for a long, I still do in the fall, with a white number 4 willow leaf. Sometimes a hammered brass, sometimes a white. But that white blade in the fall has always been good for me. White seems to trigger fish sometimes. But I got away from this thing, this exact bait. Like I said, I have about 2 or 3 of them in my box right now. So I haven't got away from them completely, but I'm thinking, when the last time I threw one in a tournament? I'm not sure if I have this century. Now, fishing my little 115-acre lake is a little bit different than fishing a major reservoir, except it ain't. Not really. So I built this one. I've got 2 or 3 others. I refurbished them this spring, skirts and sharpened hooks and all that. I'm going to be doing that a little bit more because you got to go back to what brought you to the game kind of thing. And I don't know how many bass I caught on that bait. Not necessarily big bass, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bass on that little bait right there. And I'm going to do it some more. I mean, my first bass over 4 or 5 pounds on a spinnerbait come on that bait. That's the first time I ever put a trailer, a plastic trailer on a spinnerbait was that bait. I've thrown that bait in 5 states, 4 states anyway. I finished second in a Redman tournament, parts with this bait on Bull Shoals years ago. A long time ago. Why have I got away? Why do we get away from the things that we like? What do we read in the magazine articles? Do we hear what other people are talking about? We follow the hype of other folks. I don't know. I don't hardly throw a 1/4-ounce spinnerbait period anymore. I'm going to. This thing throws really good on my 5.5-foot pistol grip rod. Yes, it does. So that's what I'm talking about today is my spinnerbait, my white willow leaf. What'd you catch them on? That's what we used to say, white willow leaf. Didn't matter. That's what we was talking about. The handful of us was throwing that. And I like it. I like those memories. I like to bring some of that back. So this fall, I'm going to have one of these tied on all the time if water conditions are even close. You know, not, well, whatever. If I'm throwing a spinnerbait, I'm going to have one of these tied on all fall long, and I'll keep you all posted. Maybe you're lucky, it'll work. Sword Bank link in the description, y'all. Check it out, please. Appreciate that. You can save money. You get free shipping if you use my promo code. I'm going to go mess with this bait stuff. I'm making baits. That link's in the description also. I sell baits. I tell you that. God bless you guys. Hope you all have a spinnerbait like this to talk about. I got some buzz baits and stuff we can talk about too. So there's what we've got a couple hours later, y'all. Kind of a brownish, orangish, a little bit of reddish, really pretty baits. I got 2 packs of each of them. So if somebody's interested, link in the description to my website. Email me, Facebook me, whatever. It's all there. Yeah, I made it really pretty remelt. I like that. Of course, I still have all that to do too. And I've got boxes more. It's just wonderful.